edge, flip it for the world, flip it for the edge, flip it for the world, flip it for the edge, flip it for the world.
Tall trails running round downstairs. I'm setting fun to my make room up here. Tall trails run downstairs. I'm setting fun to my make room up there. Casinos run downstairs. Out of the casino, out of the casino. I'm setting fun casino. Out of the casino, 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 out of the casino. Flip it for the edge, flip it for the world, flip it for the edge, flip it for the world, flip it for the edge, flip it for the world, flip it for the edge, flip it for the world. a souvenir, as soon as rescued, a retourner, le fixing the foe, mixing your liquids, now you're left for dead, just pay your debts. Float, the moon is calling, a souvenir, as soon as rescued, a retourner, le fixing the foe, mixing your liquids, now you're left for dead, just pay your debts. Float, the moon is calling, a souvenir, as soon as rescued, a retourner, le fixing the foe, mixing your liquids, now you're left for dead, just pay your debts.
What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well tonight. We got a nice waning gibbous moon rising for me in the east right now. I think it's about, I want to say 90%. Just going to pull up Stellarium right here. Yeah, got a 90.4% illuminated waning gibbous. Looking really sweet right now, just cleared up. Figured try and get some zoomed in shots tonight as the Terminator's moving down across Mare Crisium and Langrenus crater. Want to kind of pick up that crater conversation from the other night. Just let me hop in this chat room right here. What's going on, Carolina Sky Astronomy? How you doing? What's up, Timothy Martin? How you doing? Carolina, you got a 70mm refractor, 127mm Cassegrain, Maksutov Cassegrain, and a 6-inch imaging Newtonian. Awesome. 70mm refractor, right? The 127 is really sweet. And do you do planetary mostly, or is it deep sky stuff? Or are you just starting out? I'll check gotta check your channel. Yo, that's a great shot of Jupiter. I'm looking at your channel right now. Subscribe. Thumbs up on the Jupiter shot. I'll check out some more later. Thanks for stopping by. And yeah, let's get zoomed in on Mare Crisium while we got this shot. Definitely a lot more detail than we had on the full moon night. Rich tones, tranquility, moving up towards Proclus. Proclus, which is that little crater right under Mare Crisium. Got a lot of detail on it tonight, so we'll get deeper in on this. You can see the little craterlets piercing Picard inside the rim of Mare Crisium. Just settle in, let's see it focus. Hey, thanks Tim, appreciate it. I didn't realize it's already started pretty late tonight. Got home and saw the moon rising. Put on some tunes over here and settle in for the ride. I think I'm going to switch up this lens too. All right, so I removed the focal reducer, so this is the Sony right into the 11-inch scope. No glass in between, getting that kind of real close-up shot right here. I think the right balance, I mean, I could probably hit the 2x, but this will give us a nice wide shot coupled with the zoom. So I'm gonna center in here a little bit on Mare Crisium. We can take a look. Also take a couple of snaps. Gotta say, it's been at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 months since I've had such a clear shot. The winter months in South Florida bring that kind of chromatic aberration like no other. All right, so let's get in here, see what's going on. Yo, what up, space is the place. It's a great name. So I've also got my Moon Atlas up. I'm gonna try and match that up with what we're seeing. So dead center of the screen, we got Proclus, which is about 28 kilometers across and 2,400 feet deep. Sorry, 7,300 feet deep, 2,400 meters. We got the 2 little craterlets left and right. Left is Pierce and right is Picard. Those are those 2 mini craterlets inside Mare Crisium, and the little one to the left of that is called Swift. So it's Swift, Pierce, and Picard. Let me lower this a little. So you can also see this kind of little mountain range next to the rim, a kind of snaking, almost sinuous rill, but maybe like a thin mountain range as well. And then the shelving of the land underneath on the flat surface of Mare Crisium. That area is called Yerkes, I guess, or Yerkes, Y-E-R-K-E-S. And it says almost a ghostly circular formation. I guess that's that little craterlet over here. Let's see if I can zoom in properly. Yeah, here we go. So what's interesting here is this kind of almost gateway into Mare Crisium through these 2 mountain walls. Really interesting feature, kind of winding road. We'll let it settle for a moment. This region is called Palus Somni, which I feel like Somni has something to do with the dream or sleep possible, and Palus might be like just like a flattened region. I don't see any Latin translation here. Also, interesting point is this crater right here. This is Proclus that we normally see with the very white and very bright rays spread out from it, almost in that kind of like there are 3 rays that are really prominent and 3 that are less prominent. But here we see really none of those rays kind of flashing, or not flashing, just radiating rather. See a little bit to the bottom right, but this is one of those views that is just like completely different than we normally see it. Definitely still very bright. Even if I brought down the Hey, what's up, Mary? How's it going? Is that a kiwi? Thanks for the delicious kiwi. You gotta love those kiwis. All right, check this out. So I lowered the contrast a little bit, actually increased the shutter speed. and the signal to noise is at 100, so it's the lowest it can go. And you can really see some nice detail on Proclus. See if there are any other regions behind it. It says pentagonal shaped formation, steep slopes surrounding Proclus K to the northwest, Proclus R to the west, and Proclus S and P to the southeast. Pretty flat floor, little widened, small central mountain, and radiations. That's what I was commenting on. Alright, so lots of features to see tonight. Let us check out, actually let's get a bit of a wide recording right here so you can see everything at once. Top right of the screen is Mare Fecunditatis with the Terminator just cutting right into Langrenus crater. Whoops, don't fall. See Messier A and B, which we can zoom into in a moment. Yo, what's going on? Denton Woods says, one day we might land a man on the moon, but it's unlikely. It really would be nice to if it happened in our lifetime. It would open up a whole new set of jobs for people. I think it would inspire people, and I don't know if it would unite everybody, but I think it would definitely be a great boost to mankind's confidence. But for now, just can watch and speculate. So yeah, as I leave this here, it's getting a little bit sharper. It's really nice. That area to the right of Mare Fecunditatis is really pretty interesting. I'm just looking up some names right here. We got, like I said, Langrenus, and then Petavius is the other crater with the little white central peak to the far right on your screen. I'm gonna get deep in there, deep down on Petavius. Blasting up the ISO a little bit and see that kind of harsh contrast along the Terminator line. So getting 2x over here on Petavius. It's almost entirely in shadow with central peak gleaming. Just trying to find the size. Okay, so Petavius crater is actually quite large, 177 kilometers in diameter and 10,000 feet tall or deep. That's that whole dark area in shadow right now. The crater to the left of it, the smaller one that kind of has a little darkened shadow, almost its own little crescent moon, that's called Wrottesley, W-R-O-T-T-E-S-L-E-Y. Wrottesley is 58 kilometers across and about 7,000 feet deep. They look so small from here, but they're just enormous features, really. Seeing excellent detail to the south of that. Just gonna get in on one more zoom level here. This is, gotta say, probably, I've said this definitely before if my regulars are on, that sometimes I get to capture the best version of a certain feature. I feel like this is one of the better ones right here. This region particularly. Snellius, Stevenus crater. Almost like dragon scales. just gonna, yeah, you can kind of see some of these protruding features having similar bright spots to Proclus. You know, wondering if it's radiation and atmospheric scintillation, which is glowing, maybe from solar radiation or solar wind, but imagine it could also be icy peaks, maybe. It'd be incredible if we could see if we're seeing mountainous ice on the moon. And in fact, like, depending on the kind of temperature, maybe it's ice that forms, you know, daily and nightly and melts, you know, in a certain cycle. Maybe it's not just perpetual. Let's get out one level here. Let's move south a little bit towards Tycho crater. I think we can get some detail on the center of Tycho. That's a little bit awash, but definitely can see that center peak. Some of the rays, arcs coming off of it. Yo, what's up, Dragon Rider? What is sticking out on the top? Are you talking about the center of the craters that I was showing earlier? Yeah, so I'm gonna actually go and adjust the filters on the broadcasting software so we can see this a little bit better. I think I can probably pull some contrast and we can see the details on the center. Some clouds moving through, but I adjusted the contrast and the brightness on this, actually the gamma and the contrast, brought the gamma a little bit to the left, therefore darkening the overall kind of blacks of the image, and then I pushed up the contrast just a little bit. So as these clouds pass, even with the clouds passing through, we're getting a lot of detail around Tycho crater. And Tycho, what do we got on you? Let's find some details. Tycho being 86 kilometers across and 14,500 feet deep. It says a very young circular formation in the hundreds of millions of years, very steep and tormented slopes supporting Street crater to the south, Pictet to the east, and Tycho E to the northwest. Very high walls and very important terraces. It says flat floor. We've got central mountain peaks at 1,500 meters tall with 3 main summits. Crests and hills line the crater. Let's see what else. Yeah, just gonna settle here for a second as the clouds move through. Dragon Rider, you're talking about top outer rim of crater, top of the moon. All right, so let's look at Tycho, this one for a second, and then I'll move back to the north and we can check out Chrysium and the rest. You can point it out then. I'm gonna grab myself a quick drink, be right back. All right. Got some nice pineapple juice. Keeping it clean tonight. Look at that. So when I adjusted the contrast, got some really great relief around this region. Take a quick snapshot there. Oh, I didn't read that part. Mary says, is there a connection between the location of the craters to any particular location on Earth? For example, Tycho to Earth's North Pole. It's tempting to make a leap in connection like that, but it's hard for me to say for sure. I guess for me, I'll point out what seems interesting is I guess this whole region, wow, look at that color that's coming through. I mean, this whole area with Mare Imbrium, Oceanus Procellarum, and these what looks like shorelines essentially, or coastlines, to me always feels like looking at the map of the Earth with like England, Italy, Spain, and then the eastern coastline of the United States. Or it could be, you know, South America too. So it just feels like that, and it doesn't look exactly like anything particular. But it is nice to think about things like that, for sure. I mean, the prominence of Tycho crater on the moon and being able to see it from Earth definitely gives it some supersedence. Similarly, these three features, you know, Kepler, Copernicus, and Aristarchus. I'm just gonna get some footage here and then we'll zoom in. Yeah, crazy detail tonight. So just at a glance, the largest feature of the trifecta is, of course, Copernicus up at the top, 93 kilometers across, and then Kepler, leaving a large mark but a much smaller crater at 31 kilometers. And then Aristarchus, which is about 40 kilometers across, and the whole plateau region's about 300. I'm getting stoked to actually do the waning crescent in a few days. I also saw that Jupiter was starting to come up at around 3:30 a.m. So possibly this weekend I'm gonna stay up and do a stream of Jupiter. Mary says, for example, the Earth may have electrified the moon. Yeah, I definitely think about stuff like that there are correlating regions on the moon to the continents and the oceans on Earth, and if they exchanged large currents or discharge between one another, then they possibly have correlation in exactly the same kind of shape or pattern or area that was carved out. However, it's really hard to prove something like that or say it for sure. It's something I could visualize, I could imagine, but I don't know if y'all were around for the discussion the other night with George Kalasowski about crater formation being impact related or ballistic related versus electric carving, and I did some research over the last couple of nights, and it just seems like, you know, the debate I was trying to start, which was, is it possible that craters were formed electrically versus via impact or the heavy bombardment period, I think is a really valid debate to have. Especially like when you really do the research and look up, for example, crater formation on the moon, craters in the laboratory, ballistic simulation of craters, and you look into, there are about 10 or 15 articles about it and a few videos, and you realize that it's not taken very seriously or thoroughly vetted, especially there are a couple of videos on the NASA website. There's one on Goddard, I think, or one on JPL about putting a cake pan with 2 layers of types of flour, and one was, I think, cocoa powder, and then dropping a ball into the tray, creating, an impact. And you'd see the flour and the cocoa kind of spatter and create what they say are these rays that we're looking at right here on Copernicus. However, when you really look at those experiments up close, you realize that one, the impact object is still there, which you don't see on the moon or Mars. And two, the rays are so slapdash and disorganized that they don't look like what we're looking at here, which are very specific tendril, like neurons stretching out like this branching structure. Not at all like random arcs blasted from, or random like, not powder, but I guess random ejecta from the moon's surface being strewn. And when we zoom in, for example, to these craters, they all have flat floors and central peaks. Now you could argue that those central peaks are those blast asteroids or impacts, but that's definitely possible. I got there and I was like, well, maybe things are impacting, and those central peaks are like the tips of the objects buried under the central, flat plane of the crater. But the difference really is these arcing rays that come out of each crater that look very tendril-like, and they have organization and shape. They don't look random, even though they do look random. What's up, Ellie Wynn? How you doing, friend? Even to you. I'm just getting into a little bit of what I was talking about the other night with George about impact versus electric cratering, and some of you know what I think, but to me it looks so perfectly, it looks like, there was an intense amount of electrical discharge at these node points. Copernicus, Kepler, Aristarchus, probably Tycho as well, and maybe it was a large discharge arc from Earth, maybe it was a large discharge arc from Venus, the comet Venus, or Saturn. Maybe it was a discharge arc from a different body entirely, from somewhere way before it met the Earth, for example. So we don't know exactly. That's why I'm hesitant to say that Earth itself carved these features on the moon. But it definitely looks like they were, one could be forgiven for thinking that they were blasts versus, sharp discharge points. So let's zoom in a little bit to Copernicus and see what I'm talking about here. Now I do have saturation pushed up a little bit, that's why the colors is looking nice and rich. It's not like I'm not adding any color, I'm just adding saturation, like 10%. This is awesome, getting deep into some detail. Whoops. This is Copernicus crater. Don't you do it, clouds. In a couple of nights, it'll actually be a little bit even more clear than it is now, but typically it's very, very bright with its either radiation or snowy peaks. And right here you're getting the two kind of mountain sides of the rim. Does this look like a blast? Yeah, it does look like a blast too. And it also looks like a volcano of sorts. But you gotta think, like, this thing is absolutely incredibly massive to the point where, whatever hit it should have blasted a hole like all the way through to the backside of the moon. This thing is, what did I say this was? It's almost 100 kilometers across, and it has very sharply defined walls. I think, yeah, that was my segue from earlier, which was to what I was talking about earlier. Ballistic impacts in the laboratory, anything that you throw at a bunch of clay or sand, one typically remains in the center of the object that you threw it at, and two, it doesn't have sharply defined walls. That's really what happens. You get a mound on the sides, but you don't get these really, like I said, defined walls, which we get right here, and we definitely get on Tycho. And I'll go north again, and we'll take a look at Mare Crisium. But Copernicus looks awesome. Let's take a look at Kepler before moving north. Again, look at the sharpness of the ring around Kepler. This is like half the size, but you still have, you know, very, very defined center with a central peak and these rays coming out of it in a very geometric, almost, you know, like it even evokes depth when you look at it from this perspective, because you can kind of see it in relief against the entire basin. Let's take a quick look at Aristarchus. Yo, what's up, Les Brooklyn? Evening, what's up, Beat Airspace? How you doing? Evening to you. Duplicate, how you doing? More interested in the moon rills and the valley cuts as an indicator of discharge strikes. Sure, I'll get to that for sure. I agree. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's both. Because I've seen, at this point, I've seen like 10 or 15 different videos, like I said, of ballistic impacts, and you just don't get these carved walls, and you really don't get craters on the rims of other craters, which you get a lot on the moon. So, try and find some sinuous rills for my man Duplicate. This is, yeah, that's lucky. I thought I was gonna go Rima Hyginus, and I got right to it. So this features a very fascinating one. Kind of have either what is like a tunnel or a lava tube or land flow. I'm gonna get some details on this. Yeah, Hyginus. I want to say Rima Hyginus, right? It's the tiny center of this little feature is about 10 kilometers, and the whole thing is about 100. Hard to say exactly what it really is or how it was formed, but a standout in terms of the research and questioning what carved this or created this, or what type of land movement carved this out, or formed this rather. Moving north again. This is into Tranquility. I think I need to zoom out once. I'm a little bit lost up this close up. Beat3 says some similar ones look like they're still dispersing light or water vapor. Yeah, I mean, if there was water under the surface and it was being heated by the solar radiation in some capacity, less gravity, different type of density on the surface of the moon, and you had kind of still vapor that would scintillate and create the glowing portions that we see. We see a lot of it, actually. But similarly, there are maybe high peaks that are made of a different kind of soil or rock, maybe a shinier rock. Like certain types of limestone, for example, shine brighter than other rock. And so you'd also have those glinting at a higher white light ratio, and that would come through our atmosphere and scintillate even more. So it could be, a combination of our atmosphere as well, not simply the moon glowing that brightly. So amazing color on Sea of Tranquility tonight. Well, regularly, but pushing that saturation really helps see it and define it. Actually, let me take a little bit of video. It's looking so nice and sharp. Look at that. It's crazy. Yo, what's up, Anthony? Good to see you. It's pretty insane tonight. I'm just sitting here kind of admiring how sharp Sea of Tranquility is looking, kind of eating its way north into Mare Crisium. What I'm noticing that I want to zoom in on is this little region, what I was just talking about, this kind of inlet. If my remote would just work. Definitely got some chromatic aberration, not chromatics, maybe a little bit of turbulence happening. Yeah, this little thing that always looks like a high. Come on, remote. There we go. Clear viewing tonight of this feature. It's always so blurry. I'm going to reduce the saturation just a little. I'll see what this is called. So this is called Cauchy, C-A-U-C-H-Y, Cauchy, and Sinus Concordia, I believe. Yeah, Sinus Concordia. Sinus is usually, I think, a reference to a bay, like an inlet of sorts. Yo, awesome space. Welcome. I love opportunities to do these zoomed in tours, especially having an atlas now. I got some clouds moving in. Oh, I got the clouds coming in. Yo, what's going on, Cosmic Lettuce? Welcome. Greetings from southeastern Arizona, USA. Getting some clouds right now, but we've had a really crisp night. I've had a really crisp night, but we have, so stick around. I was kind of doing a close-up lunar tour, checking out some of these interesting features tonight. But now we got a little intermission, weather intermission. I was thinking maybe I'll jam a little bit. What's up, Kamat Spray Art and Tunes? Have you ever spotted any UFOs up there? I guess you can say that I have. I don't know if they're typical kind of what you would perceive as UFOs, but I have a playlist rife with transits of sorts. If you want to look back through the archives, you'll see all these different satellites and strange objects passing in front of the moon. Wait, did I just lower? Yeah. Try and get set up over here with a guitar. Yo, what's up, Mo P? Says, just tuning in, love your show. Moon is beautiful tonight in Massachusetts. Looks like a white ball. Black Lab gives lots of looks like water in the moon. Gives her a lot of looks like water in the moon. I imagine it's beautiful. Is it really cold tonight? Or is it getting warmer? It's like toasty here, but you can see the weather move. Actually, I might switch to the wide view before I start playing, just because these clouds look a little persistent. Lots of pets to the Black Lab. Just feeling good tonight. Yeah, I think wide shot. Back in a few. Actually, no, I think we're good. Those clouds are on their way out. We'll get back to business over here. Mo P had a lot of brownies tonight. All good, all good. Duplicate says, am I familiar with expansion tectonics? Could explain why the lunar mare is filled in the way that they are. Like, so here's a possible theory, possible visualization for you. So if this, wait, I started learning the wrong thing. Music time, look at this. All right. So what if the moon's surface is like the Earth's crust, you know? So there are different layers to the moon's surface. But ultimately the moon is really hollow, and then it's got this energy core, like a nodal anode or Z-pinch, where the moon was grown on this node. Like when we're born and the heart starts beating and creating, you know, the body from around this node point. So all planets and stars are born that way, and the Earth similarly has this, essentially the center of this double helix energy vortex where the Earth was grown and has an energy core, and then it's mostly hollow, and then it has this mantle crust, which is a certain thickness, which contains the water and everything, but everything underneath that is I don't know. So it kind of gets into this hollow Earth, hollow planet idea. And so I feel like the moon, we're just looking at this mantle that has been, that portions of which have been sandblasted away by electricity. That's how I kind of look at it. Of course, there are other ways of looking at it, but that's sort of what I'm thinking. I think the moon is probably hollow. And expansion of planets and bodies emanate from a certain type of core where it's energy pushing outwards from the center oscillator, creating magnetic resonant waves and different densities. And so you can explain expansion or tectonics even with magnetism and electricity. But I know a lot of people think I'm insane when I say shit like that, so take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, I think it's clear again. So what I meant to say about that is that the idea that the moon was blasted out to the point where you had enough area to cover this whole Oceanus Procellarum basin that we're looking at right here that houses Aristarchus, Kepler, and Copernicus, reaches all the way over to Tycho, this whole dark region that I'm talking about. Going up north, you have Mare Imbrium, Serenity, Tranquility, Fecundity, Nectaris, and then Mare Crisium. So you're telling me that the moon was blasted through this bombardment phase with enough impact and large enough pieces to literally create these entire basins that are supposed to, I mean, consider how large that is. That's like, 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 kilometer across, and how deep are these basins that filled up with lava? From where? From the entire core of the moon that was full of lava. So this whole story, this progression of an object smashing into Earth and blasting off all these pieces that turned into a ball and an accretion disk, just is like a great story, but it's really hard to prove the math and the visual of that, the physicality of that rather. You can definitely show a visual of it, but however, what we're seeing here is all this very sharp geometry on the surface of the moon. And that's, I think, what fascinates me the most. Oh, that's cool. You guys can post links now, if I approve them. Cool. Cosmic Lettuce says, I find the electric universe theory compelling. I remain skeptical, open-minded, and curious, just as I am with conventional theories. Yeah, I absolutely encourage that. I say it a lot, but I don't think, electric universe is the be-all, end-all of everything, but it's a great starting point for discussion and for filtering content. The mind has the ability to understand concepts in a multitude of ways and hold many thoughts about a single topic. It can't hurt to have another topic that allows for interconnectivity of the universe, and a universe that is actually age indeterminate versus having to constantly label the universe a certain age over and over and over again, and then you have the parroting of that information. So especially when you're talking about years, distances, and ages varying to the degrees of 50 to 100 million years, give or take. And of course, in terms of extrapolated math, and you can make anything sound like, oh, it's like not a big deal, it's up or down 10 million years. And it kind of makes it into a joke in a way, even though that's sort of what the science is. But this idea that we don't know how far things are or how old things are is more interesting because it allows for discovery as opposed to settled science. Duplicate says hollow Earth is a misnomer. The theory is that it is filled with gas and condensed liquids that are being heated by radioactive isotopes. Yeah, absolutely possible that the Earth is filled with molten core and layers and layers and layers, thousands of meters deep. And then at the very core, there's another hot molten core. There's the layers of the mantle, and there are different I guess, layers of the inner core too, different levels of heat, which have been measured with P waves, F waves, and geological studies. It's absolutely possible. However, conventional instruments can't get can't physically get to a certain depth, and there are regions on Earth that are yet to be explored. So there's room for discussion about what the possibilities are as opposed to what's inside Earth and inside the moon versus just deciding what it is right now. Thanks, Jim Jones. Appreciate it. All right, so what I was going to do is keep zooming in. I get distracted by talking, then I'm just staring at the moon. I'm like, wow, what's going on? All right, here we go. Let's get back to that. What I wanted to show earlier was I was deep in on Proclus near Mare Crisium, so let's get back there. If anyone's new and is wondering what I'm talking about with the electric universe stuff, or plasma discharge or arcing, stuff like that, there are links in the description of the video at the very bottom to experiments in the laboratory creating craters and people talking about the interconnectivity of the universe via plasma and the ether. Always open to discussion about that. So I feel like it went a little out of focus over here, but these two craters, I want to see, is it Macrobius? No. Let me get my bearings here. So that's to the left of Mare Crisium. Hercules and Atlas. Let's get a zoomed in shot, and then I'm going to adjust the focus. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, come back here, Luna. Okay, so here's a good opportunity. Sitting in Mare Fecunditatis, coming under the Terminator line, we got a couple of great features. One, Messier A and B, or Messier A actually, with the rays. Let me double check that. And also the great folding of the land under Dorsa Mawson and Mare Fecunditatis. That is Messier A with its parallel rays, and then Messier to the north of that. Let's get a little closer. Typically not in such great relief, so great opportunity tonight, and you can kind of see it overlaid on the backdrop of the Mare. I think I could probably bring up the contrast a bit more. All right, I'll just move a little bit north of that. You know, these two features are kind of difficult to make out as to whether they're kind of sinuous rills, which are raised almost like tunnels or tubes, or are these, you know, folds in the land where the land kind of en masse rolled on top of the next piece of land and created land folds or terracing. Aristarchus and Schroeder's Valley is much more well defined in terms of being a sinuous rill. This definitely looks like folds in some areas. So it doesn't really talk about it much. It's you got Dorsum Mossum is the area that it's called. A couple of these micro craterlets, I would say, are Lindbergh and Batuta. Losing a little bit of detail. It's really interesting how it kind of, even here, even with these kind of folds, it looks like this tendril branching. If I let it resolve here for a moment. Going backwards here, Shamat Spray Art and Tune says, many Native Americans believe the moon was brought here. That's crazy, but they say that the truth can be stranger than that truth can be stranger than fiction. In fact, that doesn't surprise me. I've been kind of I've read a lot of articles that talk about the Earth without the moon and how potentially it was captured, or we moved past, near the moon in our journey through space, and because the moon was so large and had its own gravitational pull, it actually steadied Earth and had us, So in the electric universe cosmology, there's this idea that Earth and Mars were children planets of Saturn within its giant sheath, and then the sun came through, or Venus came through, or we moved through an area of space where Saturn exploded, and Mars and Earth were flung off into the solar system, therefore revealing the stars and possibly the moon, possibly the sun, Jupiter, because inside the sheath of Saturn we had this red glow, or the purple dawn on Earth, and we couldn't see out into the heavens. All we could see is giant Saturn and maybe Mars really up close. And then in the realm of 10 to 20,000 years, this shifted, and our ancestors carry on the stories that are very close to us, where Earth really went through a lot of crazy, chaotic changes in recent memory. That's just, take it the way you want to take it. For me, that's an interesting enough place to start, because it really ties up a lot of the mythology that we've come to grow up with, and but we have no relevant answer to. All right, I'm actually going to zoom out for a moment. I have a feeling like I didn't do it on the stream, but last night when I was about to stream, I caught a couple of helicopters and airplanes passing by the moon, really up close. Some really cool shots. So I feel like there are some transits right now. Let's see what's going on. Mo P, thanks for the nice words. Says, I have a natural, calming, intellectual, musical spirit. If you have, I have a class. If I had a class, you would join it. Thank you. I think this is as far as I can get into teaching. It has to be something that I can really talk about in detail, and this is something I feel like I could talk about all night. At some point, when I retire, I'll be able to just scope all night long and stream, the entire sky in 16K resolution with 5 guitars and 15 keyboards and 8 dogs and 2 cats and a turtle. soon. I hope we're on the moon at that point and take some footage. Listen, it can't get any less exciting. Like right now, it's just unbelievable that we get to sit here, listen to tunes, and watch this moon that, like, when I was a kid, I used to look at in this tiny little binoculars and just be like, man, that's amazing. Like, what's going on over there? And we get to dive in like really close and see these features at the convenience of our of these lives that we lead in this amazing reality. Mo pieces, purple darn. Yeah, I'm really congested, so I think it's purple dawn, like the hand soap. But purple darn is actually pretty good too. Ladies and gentlemen, purple darn. It's kind of a shoegazy punk band. Anti-post normative social Carl Jungian emo punks, shoegazer, stargazer. Purple darn, everybody. I think the haze has moved in, but wait, am I not recording? Yeah, I'm not recording. Okay. So let's dive in right here. The features that are particularly interesting to the right of Mare Crisium, the texture on it tonight is really sharp. Nope. Here we go. I'm gonna let it resolve and then just check out some details about it. You have similar kind of folding to the right of that. This is it the same region? No. Actually, this part, look at this. Damn. It's like little spider eyes. Little eggs. What do we got in the chat room? We got Duplicat says, this mysteriously missing planet of Pantheon asteroid belt would seem to fit into the Saturnian theory, possibly. Well, for me, there's definitely like how Earth got its oceans is a big question. Why there are records of our ancestors having seen a different sky than we have. You know, they didn't just come up with all these ideas on their own, you know, like on their own. Of course they did on their own. But they must have seen something. There was a really kind of almost like a neural network, if you will, at the time of people creating similar types of shapes, especially like if you look into the thunderbolts of the gods or symbols of an alien sky, or remembering the end of the world, you'll see Wal Thornhill and David Talbot talk about, you know, these figures that we've seen in all these shows called like Ancient Aliens and things like that, that look like stickmen, that look like aliens, right? Tall figures, shadowy figures, herds of them, right, all across the world. But as soon as you see these taken into context and put side by side with all the other versions of them taken from different parts of the world, and then you actually compare them to laboratory experiments using plasma in a vacuum tube, you'll see that it's very similar in terms of pattern. And people are really interested in cymatics, people are really interested in fractals, people are really interested in plasma toroids and patterns and stuff like that, but no one seems to want to put it all together and say, well, if they all look the same, then they might be the same thing. That's really all that it's about. What's up, Rain Song, my man? How you doing? I'm doing all right tonight. Feeling pretty good right here. Pizza and Sam Adams. I got some pineapple juice, and I had pizza yesterday, but I wish I had some more right now. Chamat Spray Art says, your open-mindedness is a breath of fresh air. Thank you. I appreciate that. None of us were there when it all happened, and if science asks the wrong questions, we don't get the right answers. You know, I'm saying a lot of things, but primarily is that it's fine if science has a story and a version of what's going on in reality. It's just, we live in such an incredible universe or world or whatever you think it is, even if it's like a simulated reality, even if we are in a sim, or we're in a dream, or we're a bacteria, whatever it may be, the actual physical reality that we perceive is so incredible that it's kind of a shame in a way to limit it to things like speed of light and the Big Bang and hundreds and millions of years and trillions and billions of miles, and that's it. It's too big. We can never know. We're so tiny. Mankind is terrible, and keep buying shit. That's how it feels. And I don't, a lot of people ask me if I'm, why I'm into conspiracies, but I'm not really into conspiracies. I think it's really sad that science is at the level where people are bickering about giant concepts like the moon and the sun, and that there's such a terrible vibe about how people talk to each other about science in general. So I'm not, I kind of don't care about retribution anymore. I gotta be honest, I did at some point in my life. I was like, screw those guys. Put them all in jail, fix everything. But I don't think you can really fix anything. Especially you can't fix anything if you don't know anything about what you're trying to fix. We tend to want to fix the world without really truly understanding what it is that we want to change and achieve, so. What's up, Copper? Good to see you. Gotta set up super chat. I think about it every time I set up the stream. I'm like, man, I should just hit that button on super chat, and then I'm like, Integrity Farms. Keep the integrity, man. Keep it free, keep it free. Also, I have a link in the description, my PayPal link if you wanna send me a little donation. Always appreciated. Not necessary, but appreciated. And at some point, I'm gonna release new tunes. At some point. Getting a little fuzzy atmospherics. I think maybe it's time to actually shift over to the wide shot, since everybody just joining hasn't seen the beginning of the show. And I need a little break. I need to stand up, stretch the legs. Yo, C. Smith, what's going on? Says, just bought a telescope because of you. Too cold to play and learn yet, though. Also, hello. Awesome. What'd you get? And also, that's great, because that's one of those things that really connected me to the world in a way that I couldn't have imagined. And it always keeps giving, especially because we live in these different cycles of planets. So astronomy and personal astronomy, backyard astronomy, is one of those things that just from day one becomes a quest to capture the next eclipse, or the rise of Saturn, or Jupiter at dusk, and so on and so forth. So it's really an eternally giving hobby, or craft rather. Pizza bucks, heck yeah! I mean, hit that hit that PayPal. The super chat thing is just like giving YouTube money, honestly, and I don't want people to have to donate and compensate for that. The whole idea of doing the show is just to really dissociate money from astronomy, because it's one of those things that if we were in a field, or if we had a giant observatory, we'd be doing it, and everybody would be doing it together in an observatory, or Actually, I don't know about that. I've been thinking that it would be great to have a huge observatory where people gathered together and saw things through a large telescope. I'm not abandoning that, but there is something about being at home and really comfortable and being able to watch space that allows you to, I don't know, to give in to the foibles of mankind and laziness, but also be doing something which is really creative, new, interesting, and ultimately fulfilling, I think. like learning about space is really fulfilling. Hey, good night, Mo P. Great to see you. Thank you, thank you. Enjoy the walk. Yeah, I've actually been looking into Patreon, thinking like maybe do some private shows, and then I kind of, that also petered out. I was just like, it's really such a chore to make sure that the show is done really seamlessly and getting the best image, that it's one of those things that I feel like I have to play fast and loose. Like when it's possible, I do it, and when I can't do it, I don't force it. And I tend to, and it's kind of crazy, I mean, not in any way to brag, but like what, I started in 2015, and they're like, I think about 550 videos up, at least, yeah. And that's insane. That's just from doing streams, and that's even editing the old videos. Yeah, it's about maybe 50 to 80, you know, curated clips or edited clips, but it's about 400 episodes of the show, and that's a lot of lunar footage to go through. A lot of it, I mean, there's so many transits and interesting atmospheric effects. I keep wondering even like what is the value of all of it, and like will that remain forever? Is it kind of akin to our ancestors drawing on the cave walls and recording astronomy? Is recording 4K footage to YouTube our version of that? So I feel like I can, if I leave TakeBackSpace to be its own beast and kind of dance with it, I've been getting, you know, the best results that I can. It tells me when not to do it. It tells me when to get offline. Just gone up in the chat a little bit. Let's see. Rain Song, will I be live tomorrow night? I might not be live tomorrow night, but I will be live one night this weekend. And I really want to get up, not get up, I want to stay up late and like start the stream at around 3 and go till 4, 5 in the morning, maybe like 4:30, and get a shot of Jupiter, which has been a long time. It's been a long time since I got Jupiter, and a really long time since I got Jupiter with the 11-inch scope, maybe since like 2016. So Jupiter starts coming up in the east, earlier and earlier, in the kind of, well, not full east, but like southeast, I think. It's going to be a tricky diagonal shot, but I think it's definitely possible to get Jupiter. Clear night will yield amazing results with the moons. Space is a Place says, am I tracking by hand? I have the hand controller and I adjust when I need to, but the 11-inch that I'm using right now has very good tracking. The CPC is a fork mount. It's pretty steady, even with like very basic auto align, not auto align, single star align. I started though on the Nexstar 8, which has also pretty good tracking, but the wobbliness of the single fork arm is tricky to kind of keep, you know, to get those really crisp shots. All right, I was going to take a little stretch.
calling in from outer space, holding on the rest of life. Say that way, I'm truly not much to do with it if you were me. Falling away from the earth, calling up the space, but you don't even hear me. I'm calling down from the fallen.
Hey, what's up, y'all? All right, got that focal reducer back, and so I do this thing on the 11-inch where I add, like I have a few Televue Barlow lenses, so which are kind of extension tubes, and then they have the attachment of the thick, you know, either 2.5 or 3x Barlow magnifying lens. So what I do for the 11-inch to get this much wider shot is I use not just the F6.3 focal reducer, a glass piece between the camera and the scope, but I also use the Barlow extender tube without the Barlow lens. So it pushes the camera back ever so slightly and I get an even wider shot using the 11. Otherwise it's very hard to get the whole moon surface on like the CPC 11. Just about fills the screen, you know, at a 90% illumination, and full moons just get cut off, just barely. Hey, peace out, Cosmic Lettuce. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you, Ellie Wynn. So it's supposed to take a couple of seconds, I would say. A second for our eyes to send a beam of information to the moon, and a second for the light to return. But I definitely am of the school of thought that light is really perceived as opposed to travel, as opposed to light traveling as a photon. I think we just experience, you know, time as different patterns, you know. I would say if it does travel, then it would probably depend, because the moon changes its distance ever so slightly. Just enjoying the smoke with y'all. I feel like the atmosphere got a little dimmer. The crispness is not exactly there, but it got some nice color in the Maria. What's up, Ron Corson says, could you zoom in on the Apollo 16 landing site? Let's take a look at that. Where is it? I'm just looking up the details. 16 was the 10th manned mission, the 5th and penultimate to land on the moon, and the 1st to land in the lunar highlands. I need to see a map of this. So I guess it's directly, if I follow a line from, I want to say it's somewhere near Mare Humorum. That's Apollo 11. A16 would be to the left of Mare Humorum. So let's see if I can zoom in there. Okay, so it should be somewhere. I think it's right around here, I believe. Let's try this again. Is that the recent lunar meteorite impact? Let me save that link. I clicked on the link and lost the chat. All right, so pause that. So I think I'm in the right region. This is right around where they have the A16 label on the chart that I found. I'm looking for the specific crater name, but I can't really find it right now. Also, like I said, I think I'm getting some atmospherics, so the detail is getting lost a bit. And then this, I believe, is where Apollo 11 is supposed to be. A little bit to the right of this. Sea of Tranquility. Yeah, I think I'm getting a little sleepy, y'all. I think I'm going to call it. It's been a long week. I really appreciate everybody stopping by and chatting. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'm just going to let this moon drift off to bed, and then I'll catch y'all on another stream this weekend. Maybe Sunday night or Monday night with like the last quarter moon. And then I think, what is it, like probably Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, or maybe Thursday even, will be like a 23% waning crescent, which is one of my favorite phases. Definitely want to try and capture that. Kamat Spray Art and Tunes, really appreciate it, thank you. It's almost 5 a.m. in the UK when I get up. I'll seek out the anomaly playlist you mentioned earlier. Yeah, I have a couple of playlists, some of the ones with the lunar kind of wave stuff, and there are ones with the transits with ISS and Hubble and some of the cool little satellite ones. And yeah, definitely shoot me a message if you have questions about them. No, not really much on any other socials. I kind of have a bunch of stuff from early TakeBackSpace days where I posted a few pictures and I had a website, but it's really hard to maintain all of it. Like I said, I just think focusing on the YouTube show and just being able to set up and deliver a really clean experience is what I'm after for this year at least. Just get the 11-inch, start getting Jupiter towards the summer, and I think in the next few years I kind of want to get into solar work as well, but that's an expensive scope away. Getting like a calcium K filter, like a lunt scope. Yeah, time as patterns is interesting. I feel like we've imposed this label that time is this fixed idea, but there are lots of different concepts of cyclical time, or no time at all, or just, you know, just playing fast and loose with the rules. I feel like this idea that we have these fixed points and speed limits and you know, Planck units and cosmological constants and phi ratios, and that's it. But it's really like, because we have all those, it would beg the question as to like, what else is there? There must be so many different numbers and ideas and things that change. It's really fascinating. Science should be evolving. All right, let's pick the last song for the evening, for the night. 6 minutes till midnight, and that'll be a good time to call it. This is a deep one, deep cut.